Hi everybody, it's Katie back with another episode of my vlog, and today is day 77 of our coronavirus quarantine around here. 77 days, that's a lot. And one of the things that I've been doing for the last few weeks is going on fantasy vacations. I've been looking up pictures of places that aren't my house. And, when I find a good one, I'll run over to Sean with my phone and say, "Oh my God, look at this amazing lake in Canada." And he'll say, "Oh, it's gorgeous." And I'll say, "Let's go." And he'll go, "Yeah, let's go right now." And, we have a little laugh for 2 seconds and say, "Haha, well, guess we can't really go there, but let's add that one to the list," right? So I've been doing a lot of fantasy vacationing in my mind, if you will, and coming up with all these different places that I would love to go if travel was in any way possible. It's doubly impossible for me, of course, because of the stroke dimension and the coronavirus pandemic. But we can always travel somewhere in our imaginations, right? So I've been engaging in a little bit of that for the last couple of weeks now. And the other thing that I've been engaging in, which is way less fun than going on fantasy vacations, is I have been at the encouragement of my therapist, I have been trying to work through some of the more difficult feelings that I have around the fact that I live in the stroke dimension and my life has been turned completely upside down. And I think kind of as a natural sort of defense mechanism, when the stroke first happened, I went into this kind of protective state of myself where I didn't allow myself to feel a lot of the really hard feelings. At first, I just kind of pushed them away and came up with other stuff I needed to do or focused on other things, which is very appropriate because I was dealing with the initial trauma of this stroke. But then, as time has gone by, I've been letting those feelings kind of come more at me. And instead of just pushing them away, I've been going, okay, well, let me roll around in this feeling and feel it. And it sucks for the obvious reason that sucks, but it's also been helpful, obviously. If you just keep pushing your feelings away, then you never make any progress or do anything with it. And if you really allow yourself to feel them and go, okay, let me experience this and then sort of use it and go on with whatever, you're, I don't know if I want to say productive. That doesn't seem like the right word, but at least you're not pushing your own feelings away, right? So I've been doing a lot of this over the last few weeks, and it's been challenging, but it's also opened up a lot of, interesting stuff for me, and sent me to some places that, maybe I wouldn't have gone to otherwise. And then kind of both of these things, the fantasy vacation idea and the feel your feelings idea really came together about a week and a half ago. I was talking to my therapist and I was talking about how challenging it is to feel these feelings when they feel like they go nowhere. And she said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And I said, "Well, it's like I feel like a little kid with this like sort of a petulant temper tantrum of stomping my feet and wishing for things that just can't exist." And she said, "Well, what do you wish for?" And I burst into tears and I said, "I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back to before the stroke." And I don't even know. I don't even think I could stop it. But, even just be able to spend some more time with Sean, the old version of Sean. See, I'm going to cry now just talking about it. Really trying not to cry on my vlog. And while I was talking about that idea of the wish that you could go back, I realized that, it feels like a foolish wish to have because it's impossible, of course. But right now I've been engaging in all of this fantasy travel to places that I also can't go to, right? I mean, like the likelihood of me going to Japan right now is almost the same likelihood as me traveling in a time machine back to 2018, or going to Mars, or going to Middle Earth, or the land of Oz, or some other fantasy realm, right? When all travel is impossible, everything is sort of equally possible. And so I said that to my therapist, and she laughed and said, "Well, this is so good that you came to that conclusion that this is a fine wish to have. Why not?" because I was also going to say that to you. And she does that a lot when I say, oh, this is dumb. I shouldn't, feel that way. She's like, you feel whatever way you want to. Come on, let's do it. So she encouraged me to explore the idea of the wish of, I wish I could go back. And I took that idea and rolled with it. I immediately started thinking about building a time machine. And of course, I don't mean building a time machine in the actual sense of I want to build a functioning time machine, but from an artistic sense, because I am a art weirdo. I love to make up ideas and then make those ideas into real things. And so I started toying with the idea of making a time machine. I started toying with the idea of making either a short story or a short movie about a woman who her husband has a stroke and she wishes she could go back. So she makes a time machine and then everything goes horrendously wrong because, of course, when you try to travel back in time, you mess everything up and it never works out correctly. And I thought, that's a cool idea and I like that idea. But my wheelhouse, if you will, is way more in traditional fine art in a gallery sort of setting. I know that might be a surprise to a lot of you guys if all you've ever seen is my textile work and the concept work that I do for Goblin Co. But I have a fine arts background, a sculpture background actually, and I've put on a lot of gallery shows in my day. So I immediately started thinking about a show in a gallery of time machines that I had made. And just started going with that idea. And so I have no idea when this show will be because coronavirus, right? What gallery is even open right now? But I have made, sketched out ideas for, because of course I need to source supplies and whatnot. But I've already come up with 7 different time machines. And it's pretty fun. Excuse me. It's a pretty fun project to be working on. It's a pretty cool way for me to explore my own feelings about wanting to go back in time and what that means for me, and also what that means for me as a person who has to go forward in time and has no idea what the future is going to be. So I've split up the time machines that I'm working on into 3 different categories. I've got replica machines, which are things which look like they could be functional time machines, but of course don't actually work. I have functional time machines. I've come up with a few of them. The first one that I came up with is a full bottle of Jack Daniels. You just drink it all in one go and bam, you can transport yourself to tomorrow. And the feeling you'll have when you wake up on the other end of that time travel, according to all of the literature about time travel, that is the feeling that everyone experiences once they have traveled through time. So there's a functional one, you don't want to experience today, drink a whole bunch of booze and you can transport yourself to tomorrow. I think a lot of people engage in that particular form of time travel, which isn't necessarily very healthy, but it works. And it's a real way that you can travel through time forwards only. As soon as I thought of the idea of traveling forwards only, I immediately thought of the backwards only time machines, which all involve memory triggers. So a record or a mixtape made for you by someone who you really cared about at one point, and maybe you still do care about, but maybe it's some ex-lover or long lost friend from the past. You listen to that mixtape or that record now, and if you put yourself in the right frame of mind before you do it, you can be instantly transported backwards in your own timeline, into your memories, into another time and another place. Of course, all time travel is really space-time travel, because even though we feel like we're sitting still here on planet Earth, we're hurtling through the galaxy at an outrageous speed. So, keep that in mind when you're thinking of doing any time travel. Your machine has to be calibrated for both space and time, not just time. You're going to be in trouble if you just do that one. And then the third category of time machines that I came up with are the theoretical time machines, which are ideas I have for time travel that I don't actually know how to do myself, but I know there are, gurus and very learned spiritual practitioners who have gotten themselves into meditative states that are like astral projection states. Well, if you can astrally project yourself, why can't you temporally project yourself, right? Again, I can't do that one. I don't have that skill set, but I do think it's possible. in theory. I think you could train yourself to be able to do that. It's very difficult, but you can do it. I think another way that people can do that is through a lot of drugs. That's an extreme form of time travel, and you have to take a lot of very heavy drugs to do it. And usually the person winds up destroying themselves by doing it. But also, the literature about time travel tells us that the more times you travel through time, the more and more degraded you get and the more messed up you get, and you suffer the consequences of your own time travel. So be careful with that one. So those are the kinds of time machines that I'm working on right now. Of course, I realized as I was thinking about all of this that as a photographer, I engage in one of the most common forms of time travel of all, which is capturing a moment in time as a photograph and then being able to look back on that at some future date and recall yourself backwards in time to the time when you took the photo. Or, of course, you can look at a photo taken by someone else to bring you to their perspective at their particular moment in time. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with working on my own personal time travel project. I'm also consuming a lot of time travel media right now in my studies. I've been looking for books about time travel, movies about time travel. Of course, I have my own list of favorites, but I would love to hear if you guys have anything to suggest on that subject. I've been thinking a lot about what different conceptions of time machines look like, and what looks like a time machine, right? Like, does it look like the original H.G. Wells' The Time Machine from that movie from the 60s? Does it look like the DeLorean from Back to the Future? Does it look like the TARDIS from Doctor Who? There's so many different ways to travel through time and so many different conceptions of what a time machine would look like in different movies and in books also. But of course, movies are such a visual medium, and I'm a very visual person. I'm up for any of your suggestions about time travel media that I can use to further my study into the realm of time travel and figure out where I'm going to go with this, or maybe when I'm going to go with this. I'm not sure where or when all of this is going, but I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about making time machines. I'm looking for a big cardboard box with no markings on the outside, big enough for me to fit inside. That's one that's really important. I'm sure you guys know immediately what I'm talking about, the cardboard box time machine. We've all used that one. And I think that one could function as a real, actual time machine and not just a replica time machine, but we're going to have to wait and see. Time will tell, right? So that's my time talk for now. I also put together a kind of weird playlist of time-related music for anyone who's interested in the topic. I'll go ahead and put my playlist link down in the description below. Again, if you guys have any info about time travel, some tips for me about how I could do it for real, or some ideas for interesting books or movies or other pieces of media on the topic, I'm all ears. And that's about it for right now. But I'll be back in a couple more days with the Cinema Club Sunday Roundup. You guys can hear about the terrible movies that my family has been making me watch this week. There have been some bad ones. I think I'm going to pick a time travel movie for tonight, though. So we'll see what I wind up picking again on Sunday when we do the Cinema Club Sunday Roundup. Until then, take care and thanks for watching.